David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, Chapter 12, Liking life on my own account no better, I form a great resolution. In due time, Mr. Micawber's petition was ripe for hearing, and that gentleman was ordered to be discharged under the Act, to my great joy. On such an occasion I will give you, Master Copperfield, said Mrs. Micawber, a little more flip, for we had been having some already, the memory of my papa and mamma. Are they dead, ma'am? I inquired, after drinking the toast in a wine-glass. My mamma departed this life, said Mrs. Micawber, before Mr. Micawber's difficulties commenced, or at least before they became pressing. My papa lived to bail Mr. Micawber several times, and then expired, regretted by a numerous circle. Mrs. Micawber shook her head and dropped a pious tear upon the twin who happened to be in hand, as I could hardly hope for more favorable opportunity of putting a question in which I had a near interest. I said to Mrs. Micawber, "May I ask, ma'am, what you and Mr. Micawber intend to do now that Mr. Micawber is out of difficulties and at liberty? Have you settled yet?" "My family," said Mrs. Micawber, who always said these two words with an air, though I never could discover who came under the denomination. "My family are of the opinion that Mr. Micawber should quit London and exert his talents in the country. Mr. Micawber is a man of great talent, Master Copperfield." I said I was sure of that. "Of great talent," repeated Mrs. Micawber. "My family are of the opinion that with a little interest something might be done for a man of his ability in the custom house. The influence of my family, being local, is that their wish that Mr. Micawber should go down to Plymouth. They think it indispensable that he should be upon the spot." "That he may be ready," I suggested. "Exactly," returned Mrs. Micawber. "That he may be ready in case of anything turning up." "And do you go too, ma'am?" The events of the day, in combination with the twins, if not with the flip, had made Mrs. Micawber hysterical as she replied, "I will never desert Mr. Micawber. Mr. Micawber may have concealed his difficulties from me in the first instance, but his sanguine temper may have led him to expect that he would overcome them. The pearl necklace and bracelets which I inherited from mamma have been disposed of for less than half of their value, and the set of coral, which was the wedding gift of my papa, have been actually thrown away for nothing. But I will never desert Mr. Micawber." "No," cried Mrs. Micawber, more affected than before. "I never will do it. It's no use asking me." I felt quite uncomfortable, as if Mrs. Micawber supposed I had asked her to do anything of the sort, and sat looking at her in alarm. "He is the parent of my children. He is the father of my twins. He is the husband of my affections," cried Mrs. Micawber. "And I never will desert Mr. Micawber." And we will pause there.